Thank you, Illinois. I don't know about you, but I'm still fired up. I am fired up. Look at this crowd. Thank you, Illinois. Let me begin by thanking all the people who have been involved in this effort, from downstate to upstate, city, suburb, from every community throughout the state. Let me say how grateful I am to all of you for the extraordinary privilege of standing here this evening. Let me thank, because I will forget later on, it's a thankless task, let me thank right now the best political staff that there has been put together in this state. They are wonderful. You know who you are. You guys have been outstanding. I appreciate all of you. Let me thank my pastor, Jeremiah A. Wright, Jr. of Trinity United Church of Christ, fellow Trinitarians out there. Let me thank all the elected officials who've stood by me through thick and through thin. But most of all, let me thank my family. I am so grateful to my nephew Avery, my niece Leslie, my mother-in-law Marion, my brother-in-law Craig Robinson, his wonderful girlfriend Kelly, my sister Maya, my new niece Suhaila right there, my brother-in-law Conrad, and most of all, my two precious daughters, Malia Obama and Sasha Obama. And the biggest star in the Obama family until the two girls grow up, the love of my life, Michelle Obama. Give it up for Michelle. Give it up. Before I begin, let me also thank the service of the person whose seat I'm going to be replacing. Peter Fitzgerald comes from another party, and yet he served ably and with integrity in this state, and I'm grateful for his service, and we should all applaud the service that he provided to us. "656 days ago, I announced in a room a little smaller than this, all right, it was a lot smaller, that I was announcing for the United States Senate. And at the time, as many of you know, people were respectful, but nevertheless skeptical. They knew the work that we had done to provide health insurance to children who didn't have it, to help make the tax system more fair, to reform a death penalty system that was broken. But they felt that in a nation as divided as ours, there was no possibility that someone who looked like me could ever aspire to the United States Senate. They felt that in a fearful nation, someone named Barack Obama could never hope to win an election. And yet, here we stand because we had a different concept, a different notion of the American people. We understood that there was a core decency to the American people, that there were a set of shared values that extended beyond race and region, extended beyond income and ethnicity. A belief that every child in America should have a decent shot at life. A belief that we are brothers and sisters, and that we have mutual obligations towards each other, and that those mutual obligations express themselves not only in our family, not only in our workplaces, not only in our places of worship, but also through our government. We believed the possibility in a government that was just as decent as the American people are. And we knew that despite the misinformation, despite the bitterness, despite the partisan politics, that when you talk to people, those common values would come out. That the innate instincts of the American people would surface if we could speak to them, if we could connect to them, if we could talk to them directly. And because of the efforts of so many of you in this room, we had the resources, we had the manpower, we had the capacity to touch each and every one of those hearts throughout the state. And so as a consequence, I had a chance to hear the stories of people. And they would tell me, we don't expect government to solve all our problems. We know that we have to teach our own children initiative and self-respect and a sense of family and faith and community. But what we also know is that government can help provide us with the basic tools we need to live out the American dream. And we also know that we're tired of politicians who are attacking each other instead of attacking problems, and that if we can come together as one people, that we can make progress and close the gap between the ideal of America and its reality. And today, we stand here in the land of Lincoln, the man who once called for us to appeal to the better angels of our nature. We stand here as testimony to that belief that Lincoln articulated, the possibilities of appealing to those better angels. We stand here as one people, as one nation, proclaiming ourselves to be one America with the capacity to work together to create a better future for each other. And it is and what a magnificent gift that is to the nation. How wonderful it is that we've been able to accomplish this without negative ads and without the normal partisan politics, and just focusing on the issues that matter to people: health care and jobs and education. And it is because of you that I've been able to do that. Because you created a protective garment over this campaign. Your spirit allowed us to run the kind of campaign that we've been able to run. We've had some good breaks in this campaign. There is no doubt about it. And I am under no illusion. I am under no illusion that we come out of this assuming that all people throughout the state of Illinois agree with me on every single position. But I think that what we've showed is that all of us can disagree without being disagreeable. That we can set aside the scorched earth politics, the slash and burn politics of the past. We can consign that to the past. We can look forward to the future. We can build step by step to ensure that we arrive at the practical common sense solutions that all of us hope for. That's what this campaign has been about. But we also have to remind ourselves that this is really just the end of the beginning. This is not the end itself. In the ultimate equation, we will not be measured by the margin of our victory, but we will be measured by whether we are able to deliver concrete improvements to the lives of so many people all across the state who are struggling. We will be measured by whether those men all across the state, in Galesburg and Rockford and Decatur and Alton, those folks who've been laid off their jobs, seen their jobs moved to Mexico or China, lost their health care, their pensions threatened, whether they are able to find jobs that allow them to support a family and maintain their dignity. We are going to be measured by how well we deliver the resources to the school districts all across the state who are in deficit spending, to make sure that our children have the teachers and the programs they need to excel. We are going to be measured by whether or not we can provide access and affordability to health care so that no families in Illinois are bankrupt when they get sick. We are going to be measured by whether our senior citizens can retire with some dignity and some respect. We are going to be measured by the degree to which we can craft a foreign policy in which we are not simply feared in the world, but we are also respected. That's what we're going to be measured by. I told some of you about a story a couple of days ago where during a rally that the clergy had organized on the south side of Chicago, I was asked to meet with a woman who had attended a reception beforehand. And she was a woman who had voted absentee for me already and wanted to shake my hand and take a picture with me. And she came to the reception and she was very gracious. She said how proud she was to have voted for me, how proud she was of the campaign that we had run. We shook hands, we hugged, we took a picture. And all of this would be unexceptional, except for the fact that she was born in 1899. Her name was Marguerite Lewis. She may be watching television tonight. She's 104, she will be 105 on November 24th. And I've had much occasion over the last several months to think, over the last several days to think about Marguerite Lewis. Trying to imagine what it would be like for this woman, an African-American woman born in 1899. Born in the shadow of slavery. Born in the midst of Jim Crow. Born before there were automobiles or roads to carry those automobiles. Born before there were airplanes in the sky, before telephones and televisions and cameras. Born before there were cell phones and the internet. Imagining her life spanning 3 centuries. She lived to see World War I. She lived to see the Great Depression. She lived to see World War II, and she lived to see her brothers and uncles and nephews and cousins coming home and still sitting in the back of the bus. She lived to see women get the right to vote. She lived to see FDR drag this nation out of its own fear and establish the GI Bill and Social Security and all the programs that we now take for granted. She saw unions rising up, and she saw immigrant families coming from every direction, making a better life for themselves in this nation. And yet she still was held back by her status until finally she saw hope breaking through the horizon and the civil rights movement and women who were willing to walk instead of ride the bus after a long day's work doing somebody else's laundry and looking after somebody else's children. And she saw young people of every race and every creed take a bus down to Mississippi and Alabama to register voters, and some of them never coming back. And she saw 4 little girls die in a Sunday school and catalyze a nation. And then she saw the Civil Rights Act of 1964 passed and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 passed. And she saw people lining up to vote for the first time, and she was among those voters, and she never forgot it. And she kept on voting each and every election. Each and every election, she kept on voting, thinking that there was a better future ahead, despite her trials, despite her tribulations, continually believing in this nation and its possibilities. Marguerite Lewis believed. And she still believes, at the age of 104, that her voice matters, that her life counts, that her story is sacred. Just like the story of every person in this room, and the stories of their parents and grandparents, the legacy that we've established, the history of so many people building calloused hand by calloused hand, brick by brick, a better future for our children. That's what America understands, that we don't just inherit the world from our parents, but we also borrow it from our children. And that is why tonight, as we stand here, we have to understand that we have another journey ahead. And it's going to be a journey even more challenging than the one we've already embarked on. There are people today, right now, who are as skeptical about the future as they were at the outset of this campaign. There are people who are saying that the country's too divided, that the special interests are too entrenched, that there is no possibility that one person in the Senate can ever make a difference. They don't believe that we can provide affordable health care to families across the state of Illinois. They are not convinced that we can provide economic development for rural communities that have been forgotten. They don't really ascribe to the notion that in this competitive global economy, we can still assure that every person gets a living wage. They are skeptical of the possibilities that our children can enjoy a better future than we have. And for those skeptics who believe that we can accomplish what we set out to accomplish, if our minds are clear and our heart is pure and we believe in a just and merciful God, I say to them, look at this crowd tonight, look at this election today, and I have 3 words for them, the same 3 words that we started this campaign, the same 3 words that we finished the primary, the same 3 words that are going to carry us, because as Dr. King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. As long as we help bend it that way, I have 3 words for them. What are those words? Yes, we can. Thank you, Illinois. I love you. Thank you. Thank you, Illinois.
Senator-elect Barack Obama in Chicago last night, and he will be on his way to Washington as the next senator from Illinois. And back here in Washington today, we have a lot going on. First of all, let me tell you that over at the Ronald Reagan building, which is located near the White House,